everybody, this is Rita Townsend, and it's another Friday afternoon, and they seem to be really flying by. Let me invite a few people in and see if we can have some friends join us here. Old friends, new friends. I love it when I have friends on, and most importantly about joining me. I love it when you can comment and share, because the information that I'm sharing with you is information that I put a good deal of time into. Number one, because my health and wellness business sort of requires that of me. And number two, a big part of building that is really understanding a lot of the changes that are happening all around us, because it's absolutely impossible to disconnect things that are happening around us, not directly a virus, but also anxiety and stress and uncertainty and all the changes that have been going on in our lives for these past few months, actually since about the early part of March. So it's been a long haul, and it's not over yet. In fact, a lot of the experts are now saying it's really hard to tell. And after doing this research today, what's really hard to tell is that it's different in different places around the world. So it's been interesting to even see that. And as we look at the global world that we live in, and certainly a global economy, I'm going to touch on that a little bit today. But when we bring that down to a personal level, hi Jane, hi Judy, we start looking at the things that most directly affect us. And we certainly have had a lot of changes in our everyday lives. And it's really a lifestyle. I mean, it really is affecting every single part of our lives these days. I think a lot of us started out thinking these were small things, and as time has gone on, they're very big things. And because they are the everyday things that affect our daily lives and our daily routines, they certainly do affect our happiness and our health and our family life for sure. So I want to share a couple of things today about those changes, how we're adapting, and how we go forward. It's very hard to adapt when we don't know what normal is anymore. So I'm a person of routine, and I'm a person of habit, and I function better that way. So for me, I get up at the same time every morning, and I always go to exercise first thing, and then I start my day. And that's my daily routine. I've been able to adhere to that pretty well. But what I know about that for me is that it's sometimes tempting not to do that. There are days when this pandemic and the quarantine and the things that I can't do start to affect the everyday things that I've always done. So sometimes it's just tempting to just not do those healthy things and do the unhealthy things. So it's really hard. And as we go forward, when the changes keep happening, it's even more of a challenge. So I want you to think about some of those things today as I'm sharing some information with you, because now it's not the everyday things in our home. It's the everyday things all around us that we face every day. Walking out the door now has new challenges. So I want you to think about what I'm sharing today. I want you to think about it personally, but I want you to think about it a little bit globally, because I'm sharing from two different resources. And if the information is helpful for you today, I do encourage you to comment and share it with other people. So I'm sharing today from one of my favorite free resources, which is WebMD. They have almost a daily newsletter with great information. And this is talking about the level of concern now. People were more concerned, naturally so, in the first couple of months of the coronavirus. This is coming from a survey of 60,000 readers, so it's quite a large survey. But the survey showed, hey Chris, that now as time has gone on, that has shifted a little bit to different levels of concern. They're less concerned about getting COVID themselves, but they are very concerned, an overall increase in concern over some other things going on around them. For instance, the shift to different age groups is a real predominant concern right now. People feel like they have more concern over how they are exposed. And we know that just because of the things that we're doing every day with masking and hand sanitizing and distancing. So we're learning more about the behaviors that are risky and at the same time the behaviors that keep us safe. And as we would expect, out of this particular survey, the people that were still more concerned were people that over 65. But it also showed at the same time that other stressors are fluctuating, and those are the things that we can't wrap our head around. We don't have a chance to understand that that's the new normal because it's constantly shifting. People are very concerned still, according to this survey, about basic food and household items, a fear that has actually increased. Now, in my area, that doesn't seem to be a concern, except that as numbers fluctuate, the willingness and the comfort level of getting out to take care of those basic needs also fluctuates, and that's part of the problem. In general, we seem to be managing this a little better. But the concern from this survey, from this 60,000 readers, which is a pretty darn good survey, is still up and down, as are the stress levels. And there is still a very big concern about access to health care. And you probably know that if you have even tried to have any medical procedures or medical doctor visits that are pretty routine. You never know what you're going to face with that. It's very bizarre. So when we talk about new normal, it's really hard to say what is the new normal, and it kind of plays with us. So the second thing I want to share with you today is a little shift, a little bit more on the business side of things, which is also, when we talk about business, we talk about the cost of goods, we talk about our own personal finances, we talk about this in the way that it affects us personally. And this is according to Forbes. 3 things to expect in the new normal post-pandemic. The new normal may mean that we are constantly surveilled. Now, that's a new word in our society, isn't it? And that life post-pandemic will never be the same. Things like there may be a difficulty for a very, very long time of mixing the younger people with the older people, hence our relatives is what that comes down to. Hugs and kisses and things that we always do in the South may not be part of this new normal, which is really ailing, which is really kind of a sad thing. Here's another little concern. It's also been said that people will grow very tired of washing their hands over and over and over again and using this hand sanitizer, and now they've taken some of it off the market. So we have this sort of jaded attitude about, well, what is the normal? That they told us one thing was normal a few weeks ago, and now it's a new normal now, and now they're telling us something different. And we're going to grow tired of it and jaded of it. And it's a little bit like the news cycle. How many times have you just heard so much news that you literally tune out, even though it's really bad news and it's important news? There also may be changes in how and when we can visit our parents and family members in nursing homes without fear of spreading the virus. So that's a new normal on the horizon. But here's the thing. The debates are both social and political and science-based. But in the world of business, here's how that may affect your pocketbook. More savings and less spending, because for a lot of people, this has been a wake-up call. We live in a very affluent country. We live in a very affluent society. And for many, many people, it's not uncommon to have big debt, whether it's a mortgage or whether it's credit card debt. Now, I'm not even going to go there because my husband is a financial advisor and has been in his whole life. So the thing is that, is it a wake-up call? Is it a new normal? Will people really understand that this is something they may need to have an adjustment for a long, long time to come? Is it now necessary to have that rainy day fund? Are we going to just pass this off as a once-in-a-lifetime event, as a pandemic, and never think that we personally would have the need for a rainy day fund? Okay, that's a personal decision. But for many months, there are people that have been spending less in order to shift their income to more important things. So the thesis here that the post-quarantine world of individuals will actually be more conservative in their spending. Now, I know this is really incongruent with some of the things we're seeing today with big sales everywhere and big deals and financing, and the mortgage rates are just rock bottom. Congratulations to my friend Aline, who's in the real estate business. That will attract a lot of people. But the aggregate savings amount of individuals during 2008 and 2009 was a mere 2%. So the savings rates may be affected by this whole pandemic thing. But here's the bottom line in this. If people are spending less, there's less money inside the economy. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Here's number 2 on the list, supply chains. Now, when you think about supply chains, you may think about China and all these other places that seem pretty far off, a pretty distance from our world. They're not. And it will be a very long time until we can cut those cords. I see things that looks like we're making a shift, but in the meantime, it has a direct effect on a lot of things that we're doing, and the United States government has been picking up the slack, and Allah, that would be us as taxpayers sooner or later. And here's a really, really interesting statistic before I go to my last point. In Japan, now we're talking about the whole Asia market here, Japan is offering their multinationals who are Japanese who live in China a very large financial incentive to repatriate and to move back to Japan. So there's a big shift going on in Asia right now. Now, I think this has been a wake-up call. I hope everyone understands the power in that, and we can't turn our back to it anymore. So that will mean, good news, things are produced in the United States, hopefully, and we'll see how all that pans out. But there are some very important things that need to be produced in the United States. So the last part of this is really how big business has shifted very, very quickly. Isn't it interesting, all these companies that were suddenly able to produce all kinds of hand sanitizer under every label, or all kinds of masks that go from a designer mask all the way down to 50 masks for $2. We've shifted, and we've done it very, very quickly. But here's something else that's going to come out of this. This is not such a good thing. Some of those products are not the best quality, and there is a huge concern that we now have lawsuits and what has been known as ambulance chasers that are going to be filing all kinds of lawsuits, hi Lois, against companies and all kinds of organizations if they lift these quarantines and people begin to get sick. This is a whole new industry going forward. If someone comes into your shop, to your store, or even into, hey, your medical practice or a hospital, they could be subject to these massive lawsuits. So the legal risk of these actions is really going to take a toll on small businesses and even things like, sports and shows and everything else. So post-pandemic, employees who are earning as much or more as unemployment, they may not be so eager to get back to work, and we're hearing that already because there is a risk involved. So the labor market in the United States is going to be directly affected. Now, I feel really strong about this in my community where we live, certainly have cases. But I don't see yet a lot of the economic crisis that is already being seen in cities that have big urban areas that have simply been locked down. But there will be results here. There will be these economic fallouts that'll be a ripple effect. And it's going to be something that will affect the very simple things that we do, the cost of products that we're buying, the places that we shop. So the question is, are we learning some lessons here? Are we beginning to understand that this thing that people talk about as the new normal is in continual change? And we really don't know, and we won't know for a very long time. We're already saying, remember when? Well, remember when might have been January, February, and now it's already, is it ever going to be that way again? So the message is here, just to understand that there is a lot of change still going on, and it will be going on for a long time, especially in the business world and in the economy. Those kinds of things take months and months and months to really filter out. So we need to understand that we can't grab onto something that we think is a new normal and say, oh, hey, that's great, that's going to be here for a while. No, it's really not. And if you're keeping up with news and things, you'll see that very, very quickly. So it's just really good to be aware of that and to understand that that change is still going on, and to make the adjustments that you need to make, and really embracing that in your normal life, even if it's the small things or the big things that we need to really, really think about as it affects our health and certainly our financial situations. So that's really what I wanted to share with you today. I think that all of these things certainly affect our well-being and our health and our attitudes and the stress levels in our home. So it's really important to always have the information. So I want to invite you, I have a great YouTube channel now. Just subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post these videos on there, and I'll have a lot of research, a lot of presentations that I've done with a partner that I have who's been in medicine for 30 years. And we try to share really, really practical information about health and wellness during this particular time. It's very, very helpful. Share, comment, especially those on the replay. I'm getting huge response on my replay. I try to dig past the news. Whether you're a Fox News person or a CNN person, I really do try to dig beyond that and get you some real valid medical news. There again, my caution is always look for reliable, validated medical sites. I use Mayo Health all the time. I use Harvard Health all the time. I use Medical News Today. And they post constant updates. And they really are about general health. It's not always about COVID and this pandemic. So guys, thank you very much for watching me this afternoon. I appreciate that. Share, pass it along, and comment and let me know what you think. And if you have something that you'd like for me to look into and you'd like to share with my Friday afternoon Facebook group, I'd love for you to do that too. So have a great weekend. Do a little self-care, a little relaxation, and who knows what Monday will be like. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.